Welcome to this lecture on critical theory. In particular, today we are going to speak about the political sociology of the critical theory. In the early writings, critical theorists can be regarded as primarily working in the Marxian perspective. But later they extended it by examining a few new forms that capitalists took and developing it in new directions by examining culture and consciousness. Today we are going to discuss some of these aspects of the political sociology of the critical theory. The first aspect that we are going to talk about is the idea of commodity exchange. The critical theorists argued that the capitalist market relations and values penetrated into all areas of life. Consequently, objectification or reification, the turning of humans, culture, nature, and everything else into commodities came to dominate relationships and activity within capitalist society. The critical theories saw aspects of personal life such as love, friendship, and family being reduced to such form of exchange. Consumption became organized, leading to oppressive uniformities and enforced similarity or even sameness, which is known as ipseity. The second aspect of the political sociology of the critical theory is to critique the administered and totalizing society. Now, this particular feature of the political sociology of critical theory targets the administered society. Weber had already argued that forces of rationality and rationalization were becoming increasingly dominant in Western society. Rather than traditional or charismatic forces being dominant in social organization, Weber argued that calculation, accounting, considered decision making, and guidance of social action by careful examination of how means could be used to accomplish particular ends that had become forceful in the Western society. These forces are very evident in economics, business, and formal organizations. But Weber argued that these same forces made their effects felt in politics, education, and even arts. Critical theorists added these ideas of Weber on bureaucracy, rationalization, and administration to the Marxian ideas of exchange and commodification. While Marx was primarily concerned with the economic sphere, the critical theorists extended their analysis to the political and social sphere, combining the ideas of exchange and administered society. The result was a view that capitalism and the society associated with it was a totalizing system which attempted to penetrate every area of life from self-constitution to interpersonal relations to education. These totalizing processes were leading to the destruction of what they considered individuality and particularity. The third important aspects of their critique with regard to the political sociology is the question of authority. One of the concerns of the Frankfurt School was to develop an idea of how authority emerges in modern society, given the traditional forms of authority have been eclipsed. Erich Fromm connected the acceptance of authority with the family and with the larger society. The individual learns to accept the authority of the father in a patriarchal society and develops an inner censor which internalizes commands and prohibitions. The authority of the father and the fear of punishment are constantly reinforced by other representatives of authority, so that people learn to submit to these authorities and worse, to internalize this. Erich Fromm looked on people as developing weak egos as a result of this, and argued that the ego has to be strengthened and that there should be rebellion against irrational authority and development of strong egos which do not derive pleasure either from subordination or domination, and the egos which are independent of dominant authority, yet able to recognize rational authority. The idea of authority was later taken up by Theodor Adorno in one of his famous works, The Authoritarian Personality, published in 1950. In this study, Adorno argued that there was a particular character type that could be considered authoritarian. Individuals who had a deep psychological need for an imaginary enemy or an imaginary foe on which to project all forms of evil and aggression. An enemy who would serve as a scapegoat for explaining the world's major problems as well as the individual's major problems, fears, and obsessions. Some of the characteristics of the authoritarian personality are adherence to conventional values, uncritical submission to idealized authorities, and aggression towards those who violate conventional values. Some of these aspects may be very relevant in our context today. During our discussion, we will take up some of these ideas and dwell on it and have an introspection on how we live in our own society in the modern times. The fourth important aspect of the political sociology that is given to us by the critical theory of the Frankfurt School is a critique of art and culture. In contrast to Marxian theories, critical theories made analysis of art and culture a central focus of their study. Marx thought it is enough to study the economy, which is the base structure. Contrast to that, critical theories thought it is important to make critical analysis of art and culture. The critical theories therefore argued that culture, which was once a refuge of beauty and truth, was falling prey to tendencies towards rationalization, standardization, and conformity. Thus, while culture once cultivated individuality, now it begins to promote conformity. And this becomes a crucial part of the totalizing administered society that produces the goal of the individual. For the most part, the critical theorists developed critique of mass or popular culture. For example, Adorno criticized popular music production for its commodification, rationalization, fetishism, and reification of musical materials. While Adorno's critique has some truth to it, he is unable to explain innovation and new developments using this lopsided approach. Adorno tended to look on traditional forms of high culture, such as the art of the art galleries or the music of German composers as more authentic and creative than the forms of popular music. In my personal view, Adorno adopted an elitist approach to culture, one that would lead to limiting accessibility to and understanding of culture by large parts of the population. Another critical theorist by name Walter Benjamin, he was also associated with this institute, disagreed with Adorno. He argued that there were so much dramatic differences between high culture and popular culture. Benjamin was interested in the copy, the mechanical reproduction of artistic images, which is relatively a new development in the early part of the 20th century. While Benjamin regarded the copy as questioning the authenticity of the original work of art and the aura and aesthetic quality of the work of art, he also argued that for the first time in the history of the world, mechanical reproduction emancipates the work of art from its parasitical dependence on ritual. The work of art reproduced becomes the work of art designed for reproducibility. Benjamin therefore considered there to be progressive features of this new development, with the new forms becoming more accessible to more people. These new forms of mechanical reproduction becoming more politicized and possibly leading the situation where many images could be brought to the masses that could create political consciousness among the people. So far we have discussed four of the important aspects of the political sociology. These aspects are critically looked by the critical theorists. They don't all agree in every discussion of a particular aspect. But be that as it may, they have awakened our consciousness to something. So the Marxian theory can be extended beyond critically analyzing economics alone. It can be also equally applied to the question of culture. It can be applied to art. It can be applied to politics in general, particularly to bureaucracy, the totalizing administered society. With this, I conclude this lecture. In another lecture, we will take up one of the key important critical theories, the founder of this critical theory school, otherwise known as the Frankfurt School, and we will discuss some of the key points that he has brought before us. Thank you very much.